No, James Corden's there. Do you know him, James Corden? You know, I don't know James Corden personally, right? But he's always going on in interviews about how brilliant he thinks I am, right? And the feeling is not reciprocated. Britain's loss is America's loss also. He's there clapping away, James Corden. Honestly, if you Google James Corden and my name, you find all these interviews, you know, there's people going to him, what's your favourite thing? And he goes, oh, Stewart Lee's brilliant, you know, trying to make out he's clever. Imagine James Corden watching me. Like a dog listening to classical music. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Lie. PR bullshit.
There's quite a few specific names that crop up in the show. You know, sort of other comedians and people from the coterie of showbiz mates that you profess not to have, and you despise. I don't know. I should mention it. I've already spoiler alert and given away that it starts with some shuffling papers. But you despise someone else who's famous, who's just gone to work in America, for liking you. Now, what happens if you meet these people then? Or do you not?
Okay. Right, you're talking about James Corden, aren't you?
You're talking about James Corden.
Okay, James Corden has been repeatedly very nice about... I don't know him, right? He's been repeatedly very nice about me in interviews, and he's always saying how great he thinks I am, and people have sent me emails he's sent to them, that people working in the business, you know, saying...
Yeah.
And so... But obviously, the funniest thing to do, I'm sure he is very nice, right? And the funniest thing to do...
The funny thing about James Corden is, actually, by his own admission, he wasn't very nice when he became successful. Okay, and I think he realises he was a monster and kind of drew back from that. Last time he was on this show, he was nice, anyway.
The funniest thing to do is to be annoyed about it, and to say he's not fit to come and see me. And so, but that's been awkward, because I had this sort of idea for this bit. And I've been doing loads and loads of gigs, like all over the place.
Yeah.
In like theatres and big clubs and also little places. And I was doing one in a little club in North London, downstairs at the King's Head, Britain's longest running comedy club at the King's Head in Crouch End.
Right.
And and I saw he was in there, and he was sort of sitting on this stool, kind of in this corridor by the dressing room. And but I didn't want to talk to him because I'd already had this idea to do this bit.
Right.
20 minutes on him liking me, and I didn't want to have to meet him and spoil it. So I had to kind of sneak round the back of him, and I had to wait till he was looking the other way, and I didn't want to have to meet him, you know. Then so it's sort of things like that. But I think he'll find it's funny. I think he'll think it's funny because he can see if he's thought about it that the funniest thing to do when endorsed by a transatlantically successful celebrity is to react with disgust and horror to it. You know, that's the funniest thing to do. And, you know, I probably won't meet him, though, because I don't go to any of those things. You know, I can't now anyway. I partly don't go to things because I don't like them, but also I kind of think, you know, you write about what you know and you do jokes about what you know, and increasingly it's more than a quarter of a century since I did a day job. And my world now is thinking about comedy and comedians and things. So I partly write about that because it's what I think about and that's what I find funny.
Yeah.
How much career suicide would it be for you to admit that James Corden understands your work better than 90% of your audience?
Well, I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know anything about him.
He's a professional comedian.
Well, he's not. He's an actor, isn't he?
He still does comedy.
Does he? I don't know. I don't really know. I've never really seen it. I've seen him.
I mean, it's a very funny bit. Like a dog listening to classical
I don't really know
music.
anything about it. The other thing is, right, okay, I don't really know anything about him, but it seems funny to be ungrateful for someone's support. That's the main thing about that. It's not really about who he is or what he is. It seems funny to be ungrateful for someone's support, and I have this done to me all the time, right? By a lot of the sorts of artists that I go, oh, they're brilliant. I then find they've improvised a song slagging me off or something. You know, it happens to me all the time. I understand it. It's because
they're slagging you off, and then there's making fun of you.
Yeah, well, it's both, but it's also because that person who is me it's that Groucho Club thing. If he wouldn't want to belong to a club that would have him as a member, and it's partly about low self-esteem as well, and like self-doubt. So the thing about hearing that James Corden was keen and knowing that he comes to gigs and stuff, is sort of, it's like burning his bridges. It's like it's a sort of self-loathing and a kind of fear of the responsibility of being popular with tastemakers and things like that.
I'm going to push you hard.
Yeah.
How much of a career suicide would it be for you to admit that a man that works in comedy understands?
Well, he may do, but I don't know what.
Better than 90% of your audience.
He probably may do, but I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know what he thinks.
Of course he does.
Well, he appears in the sun with a England flag painted on his face, so it's sort of
I'm
I don't
not a
know.
fan.
I don't know anything about him.
He's never made me laugh.
I don't have any opinion about him.
He's doing
karaoke
in a car with pop stars. He
I don't.
seems
I don't
to
know.
want to be famous.
I don't know. I don't like. Well, it's funny. Like I did a bit in this new series about looking at Matthew Broderick through a crack in a door in a Hollywood hotel when he was on his own in a room where he was supposed to be doing interviews about being Inspector Gadget, and how it was a really sad thing to see. And I read a review saying that I had this gift for like picking on amusingly obscure people, and what a clever thing to know Matthew Broderick was right on the fringes. But actually, that is just something that happened. I did see that happen with Matthew Broderick.
Yeah. So you pick a persona, life writes the rest.
Life writes the rest. So it's sort of. There's something funny about James Corden. I think in it he's like gone to America and is a big chat show host over there. And you kind of like Americans have heard of him, and he's our export and our ambassador. So it seems funny about that. But I don't have any personal opinion about it.
I went to Monday
whatsoever.
Night Raw the other night, the wrestling.
Yeah.
And they always try and get like a local English celebrity.
Mm.
And in the front row, all they could get for Monday Night Raw was James Corden's parents.
Right, well...
And you can imagine, the room booed him out of the building. They booed someone's parents.
Well, that's... I think they would probably understand why that was funny. It is in that situation.